Pokemon is lit as hell. As some of you know, Pokemon has been a major part of my life since as long as I can remember. Like, this is the first game franchise I really got into, and ever since I touched my cousin's copy of Pokemon Gold back when I was like 6, I've been hooked. I'm honestly surprised I didn't become a PokeTuber. Like, in an alternate timeline, this channel could have been about Pokemon and Pokemon alone. Huh. Anyways, it's about time we talk about some of the surprisingly deep lore behind this series here in Honest Gaming History. Plus, with the Pokemon Diamond and Pearl remakes dropping this month, and Pokemon Legends Arceus dropping in January, the timing is perfect. So today, we're explaining the history of the Sinnoh region. And though Pokemon Legends isn't out yet, we're still going to add everything we know about Sinnoh back when it was known as Hisui. Play that intro, son.
Not gonna put me in the intro now?
Hey, today's topic is Pokemon. I know you. I was afraid you were gonna say something wild like, it's overrated.
Well, I mean, it is over.
See, I knew it. We are not doing this today. You and I both know we'll be here for hours.
I mean, we ain't gotta be here for hours. You can just admit that
Conscience, the video.
Boy, if you don't stop yelling at me, we will throw hands. Editor, please do the honors before I strike this man.
So the Sinnoh region is explored during Generation 4 of the Pokemon series, specifically in Pokemon Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum. Like all the main Pokemon titles, these games were developed by Game Freak. Junichi Masuda, one of the original developers of Pokemon Red and Green, served as a director of these games.
The first two titles in the trio, Diamond and Pearl, were released in Japan in 2006 and in North America in 2007.
But what some of you may not know is that this wasn't the first Pokemon Diamond to hit the States. Back in 2000, there was a Japanese game titled Ketai Denju Telefang. It was like Pokemon, but instead of catching monsters to use for battle, you collected their numbers.
Got him!
So instead of catching them to use later, you were just calling up monsters to assist with the smoke.
Like Pokemon, the first game had two versions, Power and Speed. But unfortunately, all these similarities to Pokemon made crooks believe they could make some money off of it using the Pokemon name. Unofficial English versions of the game were released, but their names were changed to Pokemon Diamond and Pokemon Jade, even though the franchise had nothing to do with Pokemon. They even added random creatures who weren't related to Pokemon or Ketai Denju on the cover art.
Well, no, the creature shown on the Diamond cover was random. The creature shown on the Jade cover, though, was straight up the forest spirit from Princess Mononoke. The guys responsible for these were shameless, son.
Funny enough, I played it years ago on an emulator and swore it was an actual Pokemon game. I don't remember anything past the first 5 minutes, but I definitely remember it feeling off, and honestly just bad. Luckily, the game was banned from most reseller sites, so no one else has to go through that mess. Anyways, the original Diamond and Pearl were two of the hypest games of their time. Everybody I knew was raving about their releases once they got announced. Generation 3 started back in 2003 for us, so when we heard a new one was coming with over 100 new Pokemon and a new region, we were hype as hell. Back when I was in like middle school, my best bro and I used to live on Cerebi talking about all the Pokemon we were gonna add to our team. Those were the days, son.
Being the first main Pokemon titles for the Nintendo DS, the games focused on using the dual screen and touch features as much as they could. They were also the first games to allow trainers to interact with each other across the world using Wi-Fi. This was a game changer for trainers everywhere, because it pretty much connected all the Pokemon communities around the globe.
Yeah, thanks to the addition of online play, forums were made where people would share friend codes and compete in Pokemon battles. Fan tournaments and custom-made Pokemon leagues were developed with their own gym leaders and everything. For everyone new to the competitive scene, like your boy, guides on how to properly breed and train your Pokemon along with guides on team building were shared. Bruh, finding out there was so much depth in Pokemon battling was mind-shattering. I still remember trying to figure out what IVs and EVs were, and why the game never openly told me about them. People were even using battle simulators to test out teams before creating them in-game.
After Diamond and Pearl's release, the third game in the trio, Pokemon Platinum, released in 2008 in Japan and 2009 in the States.
This game was basically an upgrade of Diamond and Pearl. Along with a few graphic changes, it also elaborated on the lore with the introduction of new characters and the proper introduction of the legendary Pokemon Giratina.
All three games were praised highly. To many, this is Pokemon's peak.
Yeah, for real, the new Pokemon were fire, the soundtrack was goated, and the region itself was hella fun to travel through. There is a reason why the Gen 4 remakes have been memed for years. Fans were practically begging for Diamond and Pearl to get redone before the Gen 3 remakes were even announced. Like, y'all have no idea how many people were breaking down Pokemon news trying to guess the release of these titles. Then, earlier this year, everyone's prayers were answered, with the announcement of not only Diamond and Pearl remakes, but a whole new game that serves as a prequel to Diamond and Pearl.
Now, to a lot of people's surprise, the Gen 4 remakes, Brilliant Diamond and Sparkling Pearl, were not developed by Game Freak. They were developed by ILCA, a Japanese studio who also worked on Metal Gear Rising and the Pokemon Home app.
Game Freak still oversaw development, but the main reason why they weren't at the forefront was because most of their effort was going into Pokemon Legends Arceus. Since this upcoming title will change a lot to the basic Pokemon formula, with the new battle system being among those changes, Game Freak wants to put more attention here to make Legends a banger. That's not to say that the DP remakes are gonna be bad though. I have faith that Oka's gonna do us justice with these remakes. That Pokemon Legends though? That shit gonna be heat. But with the game history out the way, let's talk about the mysterious region behind these games, the Sinnoh region.
The origin story of Sinnoh, along with many other myths regarding the region, is documented in the Canalave Library. It states that in the beginning, there was only chaos and turmoil. Within the heart of this chaos appeared an egg, and from that egg came the original one, known as Arceus.
Shortly after its birth, it created the Pokemon world as we know it, starting with the Hisui region.
But creating a whole world is a lot of work. Can't do that mess by yourself. So Arceus created Dialga to be in charge of time, and Palkia to be in charge of space.
Fun fact, this part of the creation story seems to be heavily inspired by Japanese mythology. According to Shinto religion, the gods Izanami and Izanagi were the beings responsible for creating the islands of Japan. It's said that they formed these islands by using a jewel-encrusted spear to stir the oceans. This parallels Dialga's and Palkia's role in the creation of the Hisui region. And the fact that Dialga and Palkia can be found in a place called Spear Pillar in the games adds to that connection. Shout out to the YouTuber Mystic Umbreon for cluing me into that really interesting detail.
Anyways, after the creation of the Diamond and Pearl mascots, Arceus realized this world was lacking some spice. It needed to add some spirit into this bitch. Thus, the Lake Guardians, Uxie, Mesprit, and Azelf were created.
Uxie represented knowledge, Mesprit represented emotion, and Azelf represented willpower. Like the DP mascots, these guys also share ties to Japanese history, specifically the three sacred treasures. These regalia represented the three primary virtues. With the sword, Kusanagi no Tsurugi, standing for valor, the mirror, Yatsu no Kagami, standing for wisdom, and the jewel, Yasakani no Magatama, representing benevolence. Also, another fun fact, or warning rather, is that these Pokemon are dangerous as hell, but not just because they're legendaries. According to another myth recorded in the Canalave Library, these guys can take away your senses if you mess with them. According to the horrific myth, looking into Uxie's eyes can take away your memory. Touching Mesprit can take away your emotions, and hurting Azelf can lead to immobilization.
Well, goddamn!
But after the creation of the Lake Guardians, Arceus decided it did enough, and went to go chill way above Spear Pillar in a place called the Hall of Origin. The only way of contacting it being the Azure Flute. However, there is one important legendary who was left out of this origin story, Giratina.
There actually isn't much information out there about Giratina. One of the only people who seems to know a lot about it is Cynthia, the champion of the Sinnoh region during the time of Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum.
According to her, Giratina was created along with Dialga and Palkia, and was in charge of antimatter, but it was banished due to its violent nature. It resides in the Distortion world, an alternate dimension that parallels the Pokemon world.
So if Arceus is God, Giratina is like the fallen angel Lucifer.
Pretty much, yeah. But that's about all the data we have on the creation of Sinnoh and the Pokemon world. Now let's move a bunch of years in the future and talk about how Sinnoh was before it was given the name Sinnoh. It's time to talk about Hisui. Now, as we said, Pokemon Legends Arceus doesn't drop till January, so there is still a bunch of mysteries surrounding the Hisui region that won't get covered until the game's release. However, thanks to Sinnoh folktales told in Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum, Pokemon Legends trailers, and straight up Japanese history, there's a lot we can surmise about this place. First, let's go over what we know. The game takes place during a time when, for the most part, people and Pokemon live separately. Humans lived in their own small villages while Pokemon ran the wilds.
This whole premise was also referenced back in Gen 4 in the Canalave Library. In the Sinnoh region's mythology, it talks about a time when Pokemon and humans lived separate lives. But they started helping each other because one Pokemon deadass told the other ones, hey guys, we should be there for humans. Whoever that Pokemon was must have been tight when Pokemon battling became a thing.
And that's the reason why Pokemon show up in the wild, by the way. This will become important later. Anyways, even though humans and Pokemon didn't really mess with each other like that, there were still those few who were curious about them and the Hisui region in general. This is where the Galaxy Expedition team comes in. This group, led by Commander Kamado, was composed of multiple people from around the world. Their goal? To explore and research this mysterious region along with its Pokemon.
As the main character, whether you pick Ray or Akari, you enter the region's hub in Jubilife Village to join the Expedition Team Survey Corps, led by Captain Silene.
With them, your goal is to enter the wilds and save humanity by taking down all the Pokemon type. I'm kidding. Your job is to complete the first ever Pokedex. However, completing this Pokedex will be no simple feat. There are Pokemon in the wilds who have been bestowed with a special blessing, making them more powerful than normal.
Some of them are still listening to that one Pokemon who told them to be there for humans. This includes the ride Pokemon who will assist the player on their journey.
However, there are some blessed Pokemon known as Nobles who have been lashing out within the region. There are also other angry Pokemon known as Alphas who run the wilds. As part of the Survey Corps, it's up to the main protagonist to calm them down. The people of Hisui have also selected wardens to watch over these special Pokemon. The Wardens we know of are Mai, who seems to be an ancestor of Marley from the original Gen 4 games. There is Lian, who is definitely an ancestor of the Unovan gym leader Clay. There is Iskin, who doesn't seem to be an ancestor of anyone I know. And lastly, there is Arizu, who is an ancestor of Team Galactic's Mars. Speaking of ancestors, outside of Rei and Akari obviously being ancestors of Dawn and Lucas, there's also Kamado, who is an ancestor of Sinnoh's own Professor Rowan, and Silene, who's related to the future leader of Team Galactic, Cyrus. But outside of a few details, that's all the info we have regarding the lore of the Hisui region. Now it's time to get into theory territory. Mind you, the majority of the information I'm about to give wouldn't have come to my knowledge if it wasn't for genius PokeTubers like Birdkeeper Toby, Mystic Umbreon, Hoops and Hip Hop, and Loxin and Noggin. Shout out to those guys for indirectly helping immensely with this video. Anyways, to start, we've got to talk about real Japanese history real quick.
Something you guys may not know is that the Hisui region is based off the Japanese island of Hokkaido. For those who watched that failed Shaman King series Don't You started on the channel a while ago, y'all know that the natives of Hokkaido were known as the Ainu.
The Ainu people were hunters and gatherers who treated nature with the utmost prestige. They believed that the environment along with the animals in it held great spiritual power and built a religion around them. They chose to work with nature, and in return, nature provided for them. This shares similarities to how Hisuian natives treated their Pokemon. Wardens were selected to take care of special Pokemon, and referring back to that Sinnoh region mythology story, Pokemon were willing to return that help when they could.
And let's not forget that Arceus is an actual god. So you have the Ainu people who praise animals, and the people of Hisui who lived in a land created by Pokemon Jesus. It's hard not to see a connection there.
Along with that, if you look at the clothing worn by the Ainu, it looks pretty similar to the clothing worn by the people of Hisui. At first I thought the clothes are supposed to make them look like shinobi, but the Ainu influence is a lot stronger here, at least to me. But what happened to the Ainu people, and why is this connection so important? Well, in the 19th century, Japan officially claimed Hokkaido as their territory, thus forcing the Ainu people to assimilate into Japanese culture. I think this situation is in danger of happening in Pokemon Legends Arceus.
Wait. So you think foreigners are planning on taking over the Hisui region?
Exactly, and it looks like this already started. As we said before, the Galaxy Expedition team is made up of people around the world who are trying to research the Hisui region. Though I doubt Kamado is actually a bad guy, I think Silene is sus as hell due to the fact that she's Cyrus's ancestor, which leads me to my theory. Remember that Sinnoh region mythology story talking about the one Pokemon telling the others to be there for humans? I think that one Pokemon was Arceus. The website for the game states that these helper Pokemon have been granted a special blessing. On top of that, the flute used to summon these Pokemon makes the same sound as the Azure Flute, which is used to summon Arceus. However, our boy PokeGod is pissed right now because there are a bunch of foreigners coming to its home trying to look into the place and its Pokemon. So to scare the foreigners away, it blessed other special Pokemon, like the Nobles, but told them to lash out instead of be there for the humans. But how are you so sure that these Nobles were blessed by Arceus, is what you're probably asking. Well, that's thanks to Hoops and Hip Hop. He raised a very good point, saying that the shards surrounding the frenzied Nobles look very similar to Arceus' circle thing around its body. The website also uses the term blessed, which automatically makes me think about a godly figure.
And the only god in this game is Arceus.
Exactly.
Alright, so far this theory doesn't sound as far-fetched as I thought. But where does Levi's #1 fangirl Silene fall into all this?
I think Silene, like Cyrus, is trying to mess with legendary Pokemon. She might have heard the legends of Arceus, or maybe she's curious about the world's creation. Either way, I think she plans on using Arceus for her own malicious purposes. I feel like throughout the game, you'll find out about her plans. Then it'll be up to you and the Pokemon friends you made along the way to stop her. But that's not even everything. Within the Pokemon Legends trailer, they showed an item dubbed the Arc Phone. It's an item you get early on your quest that's meant to guide you throughout the region. But this item is weird as hell. First of all, why is there a phone in what's supposed to be ancient Sinnoh? Second, why does it look just like Arceus? The website even alludes to it being connected to the Pokemon God. This leads me to another theory that's pretty out there, but hear me out. What if Arceus indirectly gave the protagonist his phone in order to give them the means to traverse through the region? What if Arceus put you here on purpose as the region's hero to stop Silene? I know there are a lot of reasons as to why this may not be true, but why else would you have this futuristic item that has obvious ties to Arceus?
Maybe you'll be able to hit up Arceus to tell it to chill.
Maybe. Or what if this phone comes from the future and is set to get revealed in the upcoming DP remakes? There are so many possibilities, but so far that's all we have in the Hisui region, theories and all. Sadly, we won't know more until Pokemon Legends Arceus drops, but I am so excited for all the new lore coming in. It feels like Game Freak is really putting their foot in this title, with all the perfectly timed reveals and the much needed changes to the gameplay. Let us know your theories about the Hisui region in the comments below, and tell us if we missed anything.
But now it's time to leave the game theory zone and get back into concrete lore. Let's talk about what happened in Hisui after its name changed to Sinnoh during Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum.
Alright, so the original Gen 4 games cover the story of a young trainer, Lucas Erdan, traversing through the Sinnoh region with dreams of becoming the very best.
Their journey begins in their hometown of Twinleaf. Together with their hyperactive best friend Barry, they meet Professor Rowan, who gives them their very first Pokemon.
Along with the new lifelong partners, they also get Pokedexes and are tasked with completing them.
Even though most people forget that part and just stick with battling.
From here, the protagonist moves onward, taking on multiple gym leaders in the region. However, on their journey, they're met by the villainous group Team Galactic.
Nah, not villainous, freaking stupid. Team Galactic is pretty much composed of a bunch of ignorant teenagers and adults working for some crazy ass dude named Cyrus. This guy wants to use the Sinnoh legendaries to destroy the world and remake it in his own image. Cyrus, you good, my G?
I mean, in Cyrus's defense, he didn't have the best childhood. He was an asocial kid who felt rejected because he didn't live up to the expectations set by his parents. He felt that emotions were the source of the world's pain, so he dreamed of creating a world without them.
So because it didn't make mommy and daddy proud, it's completely cool for him to want to destroy the planet?
I'm not saying that, I'm just saying cut the dude some slack. Feeling like you failed your parents can be devastating.
Sure, that's valid, but why you gotta ruin the lives of billions of people and Pokemon just because of your childhood? Shit makes no sense. Maybe Cyrus should have spent the money he used to create Team Galactic to go to therapy. And the worst part is that he has all these idiots in bob cuts following his orders when they have no real idea what's going on. Like people, I implore you to replay Pokemon Platinum and read what these galactic grunts are saying. They don't know that Cyrus doesn't give a shit about them. They don't know that Cyrus is willing to sacrifice them for his own devices. All they need is for Cyrus to say jump and they'll ask how high. And see, I wouldn't care as much if they were just doing the usual, like, you know, stealing people's Pokemon, but Cyrus has these guys destroying Pokemon ecosystems just to get a hold of some legendaries. Like, there's actually a part in Pokemon Platinum where you are walking through a place that used to have an ocean, but instead of water, all you see is a bunch of Magikarp flopping around because these guys destroyed the lake they live in. This man is a menace to society who needs to be stopped.
Well, I mean, when you put it like that, I guess you're not wrong.
Of course I'm not. And to add on to the tomfoolery, the protagonist is seen as the world's only hope against Cyrus, when the kid is freaking 14.
Nah, wait, you have help this time. There's an international police officer who shows up in Pokemon Platinum named Looker, who helps the protagonist with the whole galactic problem.
Okay, but be real, Dochi. Who's the person doing most of the work?
The protagonist.
And who's the one leading the charge against Team Galactic?
The protagonist.
Exactly. So I rest my case. The Pokemon world is willing to trust a child to solve their problems. You hate to see it.
Well, anyways, after defeating 7 out of the 8 Sinnoh gym leaders, Cyrus gets a hold of the power of both Dialga and Palkia. As this world's savior, the protagonist confronts the tyrant, but Giratina pops in from the distortion world and cuts the ceremony short. The legendary frees Dialga and Palkia, then snatches up Cyrus and throws him into the distortion world.
Together with Cynthia, the protagonist enters the distortion world in order to stop Cyrus once and for all.
Once they run into him, our hero battles and defeats Cyrus for the final time. Then the dude is left in the distortion world as the protagonist and Cynthia dip. Now in Pokemon Platinum, Cyrus vows to create his emotionless world after he's defeated.
Psh, yeah, good luck with that, dummy.
But I personally like the ending displayed in Pokemon Generations episode 11. Here, when Cyrus gets taken into the distortion world, he talks about how this was the emotionless world he was always looking for. Then he tells his followers not to look for him, and that's the last we hear of him. I like this more because it seems like Cyrus found peace in the distortion world, even with Pokemon Satan eyeing him down like he's food.
Yeah, I'm just happy this crazy dude wasn't able to fulfill his nonsensical dreams. Anyways, with Cyrus gone, most of Team Galactic disbands. The Protag continues with their Pokemon journey and ends up defeating the Elite Four along with the champion, thus becoming the new champion of the Sinnoh League.
Afterwards, it's discovered that one of Team Galactic's commanders, Charon, took control of what's left of the Syndicate. They try to collect the Magma Stone in order to catch the legendary Pokemon Heatran, but of course, Protag comes into the smoke and stops them. Y'all can't sleep on this child, bruh.
Wait. I just thought of something. These Pokemon protagonists, they all got black Air Forces on, bro.
Wait, what?
Son, think about it. All these Pokemon protags enter these wild-ass regions with living weapons of mass destruction just roaming the wilderness. Then these kids conquer these regions and put a stop to some wild-ass plans, usually involving legendary weapons of mass destruction. How are these 10-year-old kids doing these things, bro? There's only one explanation. They built different. Black Air Force energy, son. That's not even a theory, bro. That's a fact. No one gonna tell me that dude Red isn't exuding that Black Air Force energy, son. Dude conquered one region and became the boss of another. Who does that?
Bro, I don't say this a lot, but you are speaking them facts. Anyways, after the Protag beats Team Galactic again, Looker comes in and arrests Charon. Hey, there you go, Looker. Being useful and shit. After that, the protagonist goes on to continue honing their skills as a Pokemon trainer. And that is pretty much it for what happened in Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum. I chose to incorporate more of Platinum's story in there since they expanded upon everything. Unfortunately, the DP remakes are true to form remakes, so it doesn't look like they'll add much to the overall plot. It'd be cool if you got a Delta episode like in Oris, but with how it's looking, I doubt that's gonna happen. What I'm really hyped for is that Pokemon Legends though. Not only for the gameplay and all the changes, but just to see if we're right. I mean, we did call Star Wars Visions back in my Starkiller video. This bitch is an anime villain and a half.
Yo, can you stop trying to compare Star Wars to anime?
But bro, look at the facts. Galen's backstory, his relationship with Vader, this Star Wars could dead be an anime.
No one is gonna make a Star Wars anime.
Says you, Disney has the money. Maybe we'll call this one too. But with that, end screen. Yo, what up fam, and thank you guys so much for watching another episode of Honest Gaming History. Since I covered Pokemon today, I had to bust out the old school Pokemon onesie that I had back in my old Conscience videos. But this shit is still mad comfortable, son. Like, I think I might just spend the rest of the day in this onesie. But anyways, one thing that I forgot to talk about in the video was Hisuian Zorua and Hisuian Zoroark. Bruh, those Pokemon look fucking beautiful. Like, all these regional forms are getting me to like Pokemon I didn't normally like, and bruh, Zorua and Zoroark, they look even cooler to me now. Like, they still look cool when they were black and red, but these current designs, son, I'm gonna need me a plushie. At least like 3 of them. Like, dead ass. Anyways, if you enjoyed the video, do not forget to hit that like button. Comment to us who want to see us cover in Honest Gaming History. Subscribe if you want to see more of me, and hit that bell if you want to stay notified of whenever I upload new content. Shout out to my patrons, the guys who give that extra money to help out the channel. Y'all are the GOATs, and I appreciate you guys for what you give to the channel monthly. And special shout out to my Gold Squad patrons, the guys who give even more to help out. Like, y'all the legendary GOATs, son. Like, y'all are just amazing, son. Shout out to Bear Revel, Curtis Clarkson, Daniel Gonzalez, DD, Dylan Boner, G Haven Esports Team, Graham Lansborough, Jakari Scott, Nick the Nocturne, Terry, Trav Will, Victor Garcia, and Zach Haji. Thank you guys so much for all you do for the channel. For real, you guys help me keep this channel going, so I appreciate it. But as you guys know, if you cannot support with your funds, it's all good. You just getting here means a lot, so thank you. But with that being said, I am off this to get started on the next Honest Gaming History. And I can't tell y'all who it's gonna be about, but I know you guys are gonna like it. You guys are gonna really like it. Alright. But with that being said, be easy, stay lit, stay healthy out there, Black Lives Matter, and don't forget, you can do whatever the hell you put your mind to. All it takes is practice and time. Peace out, fam.